Hello everybody, this is FDR Skeptic. Welcome to my first video. As the name suggests, I'm skeptical of the ideas and practices at Free Domain Radio. I used to be a supporter for several years, quite a big fan for a while, but recently more problematic sides have come to my attention through FDR Liberated. Things like contradictions, hypocrisies, potentially harmful practices like defooing. There are accounts of drama both on the FDR boards but also in people's personal lives, and that has had quite an impact on how I view Free Domain Radio nowadays. In case you've never heard of Free Domain Radio, it's a website started by Stefan Molyneux that claims that it's the largest and most popular philosophical conversation in the world, even though it consists mostly of his podcasts and videos, so it's more one-way street than a conversation. In this video I wanted to talk about the $2 donation outrage that occurred like 3 weeks ago. What happened was that Stefan received a $2 donation and wrote the message, I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but he kind of sounded ungrateful with that. As a result, there was an outpour of reactions, hundreds both on Facebook and on Reddit, which I have linked in the video description. Among the Facebook comments was a message from the original donator who explained the situation. He is a single dad with not a huge budget, and he thought he would give small donations as he can when he can. He was very disappointed to see Stefan's reaction and told him he shouldn't expect any more donations from him. After this, some people got together to give this donator a bit of money. They got $200 together, but the donator asked to give it to an actual charity which fights against child abuse. Okay, so there were both thoughtful criticisms and over-the-top insults, which I think you can expect on the internet. What does Stefan make of all of this? Here are some fragments from his call-in show, which was interestingly named "In Which I Admit Fault and Promise to Improve." And after each fragment I'll give a bit of commentary, ask some questions. This is from the first 12 minutes, by the way.
I don't know that you can really call yourself free if you're not free of that kind of reactive rage when I simply state that I'm sad about a $2 donation.
So immediately he brings up some kind of link between freedom and the ability to hold in rage and anger. And that's interesting for a libertarian author, because freedom normally has more to do with violence or lack of violence instead of having control over your emotions.
Astounding to see like a simple communication of an emotional state gets spun into just an enormous amount of bomb in the brain stuff from childhood. I mean, obviously from childhood, right?
One thing to do here is to change the rhetorical question in an actual question. Is it obvious that the angry reactions came from brain trauma suffered in childhood? Is it obvious?
It is very sad. It is very sad to not be free of that kind of reactive rage. I mean, to see that in people, it's very sad. I mean, it's like watching someone stumble over something on the road and then stand in the corner for 20 minutes punching themselves in the face. It's an ugly spectacle because you see people self-injure so much.
Earlier, he already says that you're not really free if you give in to anger and rage by posting angry comments on the internet. But here he compares it to self-injury, to punching yourself in the face. I'm not really sure how I should take that comment.
And it really is a truly tragic, because I suppose the idea is, I launch hostile things at Steph, and that'll teach him, that'll learn him a lesson or whatever it is. But, this is all just a cage that you put yourselves in. And that's, I mean, I genuinely mean that it's truly tragic to see. Now you've done a public wrong and crazy injustice, and of course you've made our community look insane, right? I mean, just hysterical and immature and bullying and all of that, and in a very sort of public way.
Okay, so he goes a bit further than only saying that you're not free, but he accuses you of doing a public wrong, a crazy injustice, and making the libertarian community or the FDR community look insane. You can wonder whether the actual comments justify saying that it's a public wrong and a crazy injustice. As you'll hear Stefan in a moment, he makes it sound very grave what happened.
What you've done is you've trained yourself in brutality. You've trained yourself in abuse. You've trained yourself in hysterical aggression. And that moves you further away from the capacity for peace, for happiness, for negotiation, for love, for joy, for self-respect. And I know that nobody is born that way. I know that nobody's born that way. My daughter doesn't have a retaliatory bone in her body. I know that nobody's born that way. I know that people are made that way. And I know how they're made that way. All that you're showing me is what your childhood was like. And for that, I really do have immense sympathy. It's a terrible thing.
Stefan makes quite a few claims to knowledge right there. He says that he knows that people are made to behave this way, that are not born this way. So the question is, how does he know that people are made this way? Does he at any point explain how people are made that way, and does he provide evidence? And here again you can also wonder how accurate it is to speak of training yourself in brutality, abuse and hysterical aggression by posting angry comments on the internet. Except for the knowledge claims already made, I want to show you what Stefan thinks will happen if you continue to behave this way.
Every lever you pull gets looser. Every lever you don't pull gets stiffer. And every time you indulge in this behavior, and it is a self-indulgence, and every time you indulge in this behavior, not only, of course, are you acting out the very thing that hurt you the most when you were younger, but after a while, you are pretty much guaranteeing that you'll never be able to open that cage again and get out and have free, equal, peaceful, and reasonable words with people. And if you're young, and I would suspect that a good number of the people who type this kind of stuff are young. If you're young, oh my goodness, my friends, I will tell you, I have seen where it leads. I have seen where this behavior leads.
Okay, so summing up, the outrage was caused by childhood trauma, which is no fault of your own, but at the same time it was a crazy and public injustice. And also, Stefan somehow claims to know that if you keep indulging in this behavior, you will be unfree and unable to have equal, peaceful and reasonable relationships with other people. The big question is, of course, how does Stefan know any of this? What kind of evidence does he provide? Thanks for watching. I plan to make a few more videos about what I think are pretty extravagant claims in his podcasts and books. Among others, I want also to look at the whole theory surrounding childhood trauma and brain injury. So that should be interesting. See you all next time.